All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm McKenzie from the Travel Group, and we're back for another Travel Talks. Today, I thought we would look at some more active adventures. And so I'm really excited to have two guests with us today. I have Michele from here at the Travel Group, as well as Kent from Exodus Tours. And so they're going to talk to you a little bit about Exodus's cycling tours, which are an absolutely amazing product and definitely something to dream about. So I think I'll pass it over to you, Michele. Take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Kent and McKenzie.
Hi.
See you. Welcome from Edmonton. Vancouver, it's rainy today, so we've lost some of our good weather. Anyways, tell us a little bit about Exodus and some of your values. I know we've dealt with Exodus for years, and I love dealing with them, but just from your point of view, tell us a little bit about it.
Just quickly, you know, for us, it's all about adventure. It's all about getting off the beaten path. It's exploring regions of the world that are maybe, you know, overlooked or often less visited, you know, I guess, getting into the more regional communities, away from kind of mass tourism and really kind of supporting those areas as well that, you know, in years past didn't get all the traffic and maybe the benefits of tourism. So the exciting thing with Exodus, I mean, I've worked for the company now for almost 4 years. They celebrated 46 years in business as a tour operator, one of the oldest tour operators in the world. So they've been doing it for many, many years. Incredible people that work for this company that come from, you know, multiple backgrounds, archaeologists, wildlife specialists, you know, overland drivers that work for a number of different travel companies. So some really, really amazing people that are very passionate about what they do. And I think the most important thing, it's about where we visit and the people we visit there. The fact that we go into these smaller communities, we hire local guides, and we're trying to have a very low environmental impact in the communities we visit. So traveling in small groups is very important. And that way you're not, you know, putting that strain on the local environment and the local people, but you are benefiting the places you visit.
Wow, that's great. What are some of the different categories of trips that you sell, and what seems like it's going to be popular in the next few years?
So we're obviously known as the active travel company. That's a big part of what we do, but we have many different styles. So broken down typically into, you know, what would be maybe our favorite would be the cycling adventures, which I love doing and love talking about. So cycling, guided and self-guided cycling trips, the walking and hiking as well. So everything from leisurely to more challenging walking and hiking trips. And then we also do cultural. So people that are less inclined to maybe get on a bike or go on a walking holiday, we still do a small group cultural experience to many different parts of the world. And then everything from family, polar, culinary, wine journeys, a little bit of everything, kind of encompassing all different varieties of travel you might be passionate about. And we are seeing a huge growth in active travel. And it's going to be, I think, even more popular and more important in years to come with everything we're dealing with now with COVID. People aren't going to be as comfortable in larger groups. They're not going to be as comfortable going to big main urban centers, staying in big massive hotels, being with a lot of people. And I think that's what separates us in a lot of ways, is we can go with a small group. And you're out, you know, if you're on a bike or on a walking holiday, you're not seeing a lot of people. You know, it's you, your guide, your small group, and you're out in the fresh air, kind of away from it all. And I think that's what's really important and why it's becoming really popular to do these trips that you feel good about as well when you come home.
Wow, really good points. That kind of brings me back to this past year. We took a cycling trip and a group of people and friends with us. And it was such a great experience. So tell us a little bit about the cycling, the difference between their guided and self-guided tours. I know that different ones appeal to different people.
Absolutely. So, I mean, myself, I do a lot of the guided trips. I like being with for me, it's being with a group of friends. You know, you're friends within day two, I find. And you have your guide, and they're really professional. They know the routes. They're there to kind of get you set up every day and kind of talk you through the terrain you're going to go through, and then the cultural highlights that you're visiting along the way. And once you get to each little town and village. So I really value having that local guide, the local biking expert along with you. Plus they're there to, along with your driver, a support. So you're having a support vehicle is really nice. If you feel like you need to get off, throw your bike on the trailer and get on the passenger van, you do have that luxury. So having the cycling group, I find, is a really nice way to have that camaraderie between, you know, active travelers. Self-guided is a really nice option for people a little more independent minded. They want a little more freedom, you know, so they can, everything's set up for you, but you go at your own pace. You get set up with the bikes. You'll have your patch kit, what have you, emergency contact, accommodation, transport of luggage, but you're going at your own pace. So it's great for couples or families, or maybe a couple friends that want to go and kind of, you do their own thing in a way, but you still have what I call the roots or the bones of the trips organized. But you have your own holiday, which a lot of people still like to do. Independent travel is still very popular.
Right. Well, what I liked about it was that during the day you were with this group and you had your breakfast on your own. Then at lunch you were together, you rode through the day. And then in the evening you had the option of either sticking with the group, going out for dinner together, or going off on your own. And, you know, some nights you just felt like going and having a pizza somewhere rather than a big dinner with other people. So it gave that choice. We like that a lot. What would you recommend if there's a couple going and one's a fairly avid biker and the other one, the partner, maybe isn't so much? Is this where an e-bike comes in? And
yeah, and it's a great question, and it's a question that comes up very often because that scenario does happen frequently, and there is, again, I'm seeing more and more couples and friends that go on these trips, and almost every single cycling trip I've done, we've had that scenario where there has been one rider that's been a little more experienced on a regular bike, which we include the bikes unless you want to bring your own, and then one on an e-bike because they might just not have the same experience, and they don't either want to stay at home or they don't want to be on the van the whole time. Electric bikes have revolutionized cycling trips. They're great for first timers. You know, in Italy this past year, we had a woman that was on her first cycling adventure, and she took the e-bike, and by the end of the trip she said, you know what, now I kind of know, I feel that comfort level now that I think next time I can use a regular bike, but this really helped for a few of the hills and my peace of mind. So I think it's a really good option for people that do want to go on a trip together but may not be at ease yet of having that experience. And we're also there to talk them through it, or to talk to their travel advisor and say, listen, what's the expectations? What are the rides going to be like day to day, and to get you comfortable for this type of travel.
right. I guess that's probably the biggest thing is finding out what people really can do and what is going to work for them. So with so many trips to choose from with Exodus, are there any in particular ones that you really like or really recommend? Whether it be biking or walking in Italy, or
there's so many. I mean, I've loved every cycling trip. My most recent one, and I'm dying to get back, is Italy. So cycling Puglia and Matera, unbelievable. Southern Italy. It was the end of October, beautiful blue skies, swimming in the sea, incredible people, less touristy that time of year. I fell in love with it. And then Portugal, you know, we've both done that trip, stunning along the Atlantic coast of Portugal. Croatia being another one, along the Dalmatian coast, one of our most popular ones. And then moving to another part of the world, I would say Vietnam, whether you do a cycling or cultural one, going from the north to the south of the Vietnam is such a nice contrast of different environments, people, culture, and you get a little bit of everything on a tropical island, going out into the beautiful Ha Long Bay in the north to see all the limestone outcrops, enjoying the amazing cuisine. Jordan is a place I love. Egypt, where I'm supposed to be right now, sadly, has really, really taken off again as a popular destination for the history and the archaeology and the amazing culture there. And then again, you can continue into places with wildlife, you know, Borneo, Uganda, to see the gorillas. Oh my, I could go on forever. There's so many amazing trips. And the walking and wine, I would say, for wine lovers, a trip my parents absolutely loved and an experience they'll never forget. And of course, if you love wine, food, and the beautiful place in the world to go walking, you know, Portugal is stunning, and Italy as well.
Wow, that's interesting. Now, do you have different types of tours, one maybe that are geared to families, geared to wildlife? What are your different categories that you have?
Yeah, so again, you know, we'll have our regular guided trips. you know, typically small groups, as I said, you know, average 12 to 16 people. We have a separate category of family trips. So those usually start at about age 9 and up, but there's some amazing ones like chopsticks and coconuts in Vietnam, Costa Rica, which is still a wonderful destination for families of all ages. I love another one. It's called Pompeii and Pizzas of the Amalfi Coast. So you get to learn how to make pizza. We do a little kayaking in the beautiful crystal clear blue water there. There's a pool at the property, so the kids can enjoy that. So family travel outside the box, as I say, of typical family travel, a really good cultural experience as well for the kids. And then wildlife is something that Exodus takes very seriously and puts a lot of time and energy into sustainable natural habitat viewing. So that could be going to see the tigers in the wild in India. For me, a highlight of my life is seeing the orangutans in Borneo, or to go see the gorillas in Uganda, and doing it properly with the specialists. And they need us more than ever now, because we're seeing, you know, the increase in poaching, and sadly, you know, when the tourists aren't there, they can't employ the park rangers and the anti-poacher rangers to protect the vital population and conservation of these areas. So we're hoping that we can get back out there sooner rather than later, and to protect these areas and the wildlife that really needs us there to help sustain those areas.
Right. Yeah, I guess tourism is more important than ever, especially for wildlife and for sanctuaries and so on. They need the visits in order to support them, to do the work that they need to do. Now, last but not least, how is Exodus moving forward in handling the elephant in the room, the social distancing? That's, you know, I know first of all you've got small group tours, which I think is going to attract people to begin with, but how are they moving forward with small hotels and working with these different companies so that they understand what is needed to protect?
Yeah, it's a tough one, right? So I mean, especially with the travel industry right now, it's kind of a learning time for all of us. You know, we've never seen anything like this in our lifetime. You know, and again, I'm very lucky. I work for this wonderful company. Our local operators, our team around the world, we have staff kind of all around the world. We are taking great care to make sure that it's done properly. And like you said, you know, the big thing for us already a step ahead was the fact that we do operate small groups and go into more remote areas, you know, kind of further away from the masses. But again, you know, there's going to be, I think the start of travel is going to be more local, obviously, before we start flying all over the world. So maybe looking more to North America. So where we do have some really wonderful active holidays. I know you and I spoke about the Yukon canoe adventure. I would love to do that trip. I was delving more into it. You know, we canoe 300 kilometers of the Yukon River, the great river of the Yukon, starting and ending in Whitehorse out into this remote wilderness. And again, you know, going into these places, and we're very lucky in Canada, especially, that we can get outdoors during this time into more remote areas, and we're not kind of meeting up with a lot of people and keeping our distance. So a trip like that, you know, walking in wilderness, there's a bears, walking in bears in BC, Maritimes walking, trips like this, and Alaska is another great place. And I think these will be the kind of the initial focus of travel. And, you know, hopefully things are safe as well in the United States, because we have some great walking holidays there, national park holidays there too, which could, I think, really be key before we kind of move on into getting on the longer haul trips, right, where we're heading to Asia and Africa and Latin America. Right. But we are really taking great care with kind of being prepared for when that does happen with our local operator and our team and our guides and everyone involved. So it's slowly coming, and it's been very positive so far, and we're here when it's time.
Well, that's a great idea. I'm glad that you brought up the North American travel, because that's something I was going to ask you about. And I think that might be the first step for people to get back to traveling. They feel safe in their own area. They know that they know what's happening here. So anyways, Kent, thank you so much for joining us today. And McKenzie, I'm going to give it back to you, and you can finalize it here. And it's just great talking to you, and we just can't wait to get back to
soon
traveling again.
We miss it so much.
Like forever. Yeah.
Well, that was awesome. I was sitting here, I wasn't asking the questions today, so I just sat here and dreamed about everything you were talking about. You know, these trips just sound amazing. And Michele, I remember when you came back from Portugal, and just all the stories, and when you were telling us about the experiences and the photos, it was amazing. So I want to thank you both very much, Michele as well as Kent, for talking a little bit about Exodus travel and some of the active adventures that can await people once we are able to travel. So for those of you watching, if you do want more information or you want to become like those two, I don't know, it's this way, here we go, those two folks right behind me.
Cycling in Croatia.
Croatia, that's right. If you do want more information about it, you can find my contact information below, or you can reach out to either myself and of course Michele at the travel group, and we can give you more information. So thank you again to both of you very much, and thank you to everyone for watching, and stay tuned, we'll have more down the road, so stay safe and have a great day.
Thanks for having me. Take care.
Bye.
Okay. Bye now.